Hi, I see myself, so I know I'm live. As you can tell, I've really upped my tech game, everybody. As you know from the last video, at least it's only taken me 2 seconds to realize I'm on air. Thank you all for joining us. And if you're watching this in the recorded part, thank you for watching later. We're really excited to have our second installment of the ABCs of Theater, Actors, Backers, and Crew. And I have a very special guest, and I'm really excited. She is near and dear to my heart. I've worked with her on stage. I've had the pleasure and honor to work with her on stage. And I knew from the audition in the callback, the second we read together, I was like, this girl has got it. She is amazing. She's fun to work with, but she's also a brilliantly talented actress. So let's bring on Cherinda Kincherlow.
Hey, I did it.
Hi. So I wanted to just say really quickly, Cherinda is a graduate from California Institute of the Arts with BFA in acting. So let's give the props for all that hard work and all that money. And I'm still paying off, by the way. And Cherinda and I first met doing Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Will at Kentwood. Yes, so Cherinda, was that your first show at Kentwood, if I'm correct?
Yes, it is. And first I have to say, girl, it was a pleasure working with you. You are talented, amazing. And you brought life to that role, honey.
Thank you. That's what I love so much about theater is that collaboration. We all bring this real truth to our characters to tell this story.
When we were on stage in the callbacks, I felt it too. I felt that connection. I was like, oh, snap.
I just got chills. Yeah, that's when you know, like, this is it. We're telling truths here. Yay. So and then also really quickly, you are in the current production that we have on hold. Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike. Did I get all those names right?
Yeah.
I always feel like, and Sasha and Natasha, and it's like 9 names anyway. And who do you play in that show?
I am playing, girl, the crazy psychic Cassandra.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And for anybody who's watching that doesn't know, Vanya was supposed to open on March 13th, which was the day we all entered quarantine. So we are still holding and the space and the time, and we are going to do the show as soon as we are able to go back to the theater.
I know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. We were so amped and just hyped up because the preview went so well. So we were so excited and ready to rock this thing and do it. But you know,
I heard really great things about the show, and I was so excited for opening night. I had a date and everything. Told you a date and address. And so I was super bummed out because I heard really wonderful things about the show and about your performance in particular. So, I'm really excited. It'll happen. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So let me ask you real quickly, how did you hear about the Kentwood Players and what brought you in to Kentwood?
Well, I think it was around, I want to say it was 2017. And a friend of mine from Cal Arts tagged me in a post on Facebook, and it was from Susan Stengel. Did I pronounce her name right? Okay. Directing at the time. And I can't remember what show it was, but she had to recast a role. And so I read the description and I said, oh, it sounds cool. I want to do this. So I replied and we exchanged numbers, Susan and I, but I couldn't work it out because I had just started classes with the Groundlings. And I was with them every Thursday night from 7 to 10, and she needed rehearsal. I just couldn't be there. It was a conflict. So she gave me the address, the web address for the Kentwood Players, and I just went on there and just read about it. I'm like, I like this. So I just checked back periodically to see what was going on. And then I saw Daddy's Dying. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep that in mind. And I just kept checking back. And then when it was time for auditions, I actually got the times mixed up. And I think auditions were till 12, or was it 1? I can't remember, but I was an hour off. And I was home cleaning, hadn't showered, nothing, girl. I was just at home cleaning my apartment and planning to go to auditions. And I happened to look at the website again. Something told me to look. I don't know what it was. Something told me to look and check again. And it had the audition time. I was like, oh my God, I'm an hour off. And so I booked it to the restaurant. I didn't shower. I didn't have time to shower or anything. I just threw on some clothes.
Use it.
And that's me. So I was a sweaty, oily, greasy mess. And I live all the way in Orange County. So I ran to the restroom, washed my face really quick, threw all my makeup in the bag. This is bad, but I was like putting on makeup on my way, driving to Westchester, and it was traffic.
Stoplights, of course.
Not on the freeway.
I was trying to help you out there.
Every time traffic stopped at a stop, like, yeah, I was putting on my makeup. 405 freeway in traffic. And so I got there and I parked, and I remember running with my bag and everything's flying. I'm like, and I went to the front and it was like closed. And then I ran to the side and I saw Kirk. And I don't know who else was there. I don't remember who else was there, but I definitely remember Kirk being there. And I'm like, wait, did I miss it? Wait, I'm here to audition. And they were like, yeah, I think it was like 5 minutes late by that time. And they had already closed the theater. They were walking out. But Kirk was like, okay. And everyone turned back around, opened the theater, and I auditioned.
So for anyone who is unfamiliar with Kirk, that he was our director for Daddy's Dying. And he is just the sweetest person. It doesn't surprise me at all that he would see you running stuff flying and be like, of course, we're going to see this person, so that's awesome. Oh, I'm so glad that you made it and that they were there.
Yes. I was like 5 minutes late. They were just walking out, girl.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Yay. And I love that you came back to do Vanya. So that's awesome. That says a lot. So that's great. So I want to move on, and this is a little hard. I might get emotional during this time, but I want to, like, as we all know, we are at a very serious and important time and change in our community, in our country. We'd actually talked before about whether or not we wanted to do an interview where we talk about theater when we're really dealing with serious issues of racial inequality and cop brutality and stuff like that. So, but one of the things that really struck me and has always struck me is the power of theater and the power of amplifying voices through art. So I thought maybe we could talk a bit about a few things, your experiences being a Black actress in Los Angeles, in theater, in film, and also the power of theater and how we can use it to address issues and make change. Because I feel like we can. I feel like theater is a strong way in entertainment, art in general, rather, right? Music, dance, poetry, spoken word, etc. It's so powerful. So, I mean, if we could even start with a little history of how you got into acting and then how that's played out in your life.
Okay. Well, I always known I wanted to be an actor since I was 5. And that was from seeing previews and advertisements of Dreamgirls and Cats on TV in the 80s, and just being mesmerized by it and seeing Black women on stage, because I had no idea about the theater world. So when I saw Black women on stage, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to sing. I want to dance. Girl, I can't sing worth nothing. I mean, I found my voice thanks to Marty Feldman, but I'm working. But I can't sing. Not yet. After Marty is finished with me, I'll be able to sing. But just seeing that, and I just remember seeing cats all the time, just like the advertisements for cats, and I just used to beg my mom, like, I want to go, please take me. But she didn't understand her artist child. She didn't understand that because I'm the only artist in my family. And I think Cindy's wait a minute, chill out. Okay. So she didn't really take that too seriously, and she didn't pay that too much attention. I'm an only child. So I played a lot with my dolls in my room alone. Girl, I would reenact Young the Restless storyline, Days of Our Lives. Okay, with my Barbie home and office. And and she just didn't get that. So I never got the opportunity to see theater as a child. But I did watch a lot of television. And I remember seeing Bette Midler in The Rose when my mom took me to see that. And it had an impact on me. And I knew I wanted to do that. I knew I wanted to be in front of a camera, on a stage. I wanted all that. I used to look up theater schools in my encyclopedias when I was 8. Remember
Wow.
World Book Encyclopedia? I used to look up and research Yale Drama School and NYU, and I had it all mapped out and planned out. Girl, I was gonna be a star. So I just knew at a young age, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to create and act and impact the world.
I love that. So then when did you get started? When did you get to do your first show? And did you do theater first and then film, or? Okay.
Theater. Yeah, I was very, very shy growing up. I took theater in high school, but I was very shy because, there was that clique in high school cliques. And so I just wasn't a part of that. And I was very self-conscious of my looks and dealing with teenage acne and puberty. And I was afraid to get on the stage and be vulnerable. And plus, it seemed like all the same kids were always being cast in productions. So I didn't really come out of my shell until I went to El Camino College after I graduated high school. I went to El Camino College and I started beginning theater, acting classes. And from there, I just started to come out of my shell because nobody knew me. I could start fresh. I didn't know anybody knew me. I didn't feel judged like in high school, and it felt like microscope. So I was able to come out of my shell and I just blossomed from there. But still, I was never cast in any shows at El Camino. Never. I auditioned, but I was never cast. I don't know why.
Did they do, well, I'm not familiar with El Camino. So what kind of schools? I mean, did they do was it musicals? Was it theater, abstract theater? What kinds of stuff did they do?
El Camino College, community college, is in Torrance on Crenshaw Boulevard. And I took classical theater, beginning theater. So I was reading Tartuffe, and we were doing theater of the absurd. And girl, I remember reading Waiting for Godot. God, I was like, what the hell is this? What is this? And I remember they did a production of Waiting for Godot at El Camino. I'm just like, this ain't it. But I understood it, I remember they did a production of Music Man. I wanted to be a Music Man so bad, but I wasn't cast. And I remember later, I don't know if I was at Cal Arts yet, but I remember reading notes from my acting instructor, Ron Scarlatta, and his notes would be to work on speech, because, you know, we grow up and our dialect is influenced by our surroundings and who we grow up around. And so I had a heavy urban dialect, and I didn't know
Right.
until I got to Cal Arts. And that was one of my notes that was on my audition forms when I was auditioning for Cal Arts. The notes were, a talented actor needs to work on speech and voice. So my first show was actually at Cal Arts. My first theater production was at Cal Arts, I think in my second year. And I had to fight for that because Cal Arts did not want to cast me. We don't even have time to go into this story. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. But, you know, after my first year, I was put on academic probation because they didn't feel that I was talented enough and had grown enough as an actor. And so we had a guest director from New York by the name of Michael Counts, who came to direct Listen to Me by Gertrude Stein. And he wanted to cast me as the lead. And the faculty was like, no, she can't handle it. Wow. She's not enough. She's not strong enough. And he fought for me. And he knew what I was going through at that school. And I was feeling really self-conscious about my talent, about my art, and just my confidence was really low. And he understood that, and he took me under his wing and said, I got you. If you want to do this, I want you in the production and I will help you. And I said, okay.
That's powerful. That's huge. That's huge. It's interesting because I think that there are some trends that I see in just general going to conservatory. I also went to conservatory, and recently my class, we had these reunion Zooms, and we were all talking about those of us, I had been put on probation at one point in time, and they're all talking about they had been on probation. I was like, you were on probation? Like, what? And I realized that that's a tool that they use of control. And so I feel like there are some themes that we have that are just the nature of the beast of conservatory training. But yeah. Do you feel like also there are other hands in like experience, because you're coming there with not a huge resume? Did other people have like more resume, or was there like connect, like did some people know directors and professors there already, or you know what I'm saying? Like not nepotism, but kind of.
Yeah, some of that going on because Cal Arts is such a prestigious school that there was a lot of children there from well-known families, you know. And so there was some of that going on. Also, I think in each class they found theirs.
Okay. All right, we're part 2. Sorry, everybody. We had some technical difficulties. I feel like it wouldn't be a KP Live show if I think I'm going to have to start staging technical difficulties when we finally get this mastered, because everyone's going to be like, where's the technical difficulty? Oh my word. Like, maybe like I'm filming backwards or something. I don't know. Anyway, we were talking about school and conservatory and casting and the different things you're up against.
Yeah. So
and building stars.
Right.
And I want to make sure, like, not to take away from anybody else's talent or, wonderful. Like, I wish all the best for the careers of everybody, of all artists. We all have a voice. We all want to share our talent. But I do also feel like we do come up against that. I feel like I've noticed that everywhere, where people choose somebody for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And it's, we need to nurture everybody's talent and everybody's voice, because how much more powerful are we if we have a diversity of voices?
Oh,
great. Yeah. So but you did get great training at CalArts, and you did get to do your show that you fought for. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for a director that had your back. That's awesome. And then the real world hits. So talk to me about the real world.
OMG. I had no clue what I was getting myself into, because this is early 2000s. I'm coming out of CalArts. Okay. There's no social media.
Right.
The internet is not even booming like that. There's no online shopping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I think Facebook was just getting started, maybe. This was 2000.
I mean, it's before my time, so I don't know. But yeah, that sounds right.
So I had very little knowledge of the industry because I'm the only artist in my family. So I didn't have anyone to talk to and to ask questions. Like people today, you can just tap into Instagram and you can just get this knowledge and you can become Insta famous. And there was none of that.
Right.
You know? And so I'm learning as I go. Like, and so when we had our class, there's this class we had at CalArts called, I think it was called The Business of Show Business or something to that effect. And so it was a class in our first semester of our last year where we talked about the business side, which I feel like they need to start that freshman year.
Right.
And I didn't understand what I was hearing about type. What do you mean type? I am funny. I am talented. I'm going to be on Martin when I graduate. What? I don't know type. What? I didn't get that concept. And so when my classmates were telling me, oh my God, you're going to work so much because of your type. What are you talking about? I don't understand, because you're plus size. You either have to be, and this was the thing, and this is how it was explained to me during this time. You either have to be skinny or overweight. There's no in between, because if you're in between, they don't know what to do with you. And I've always overweight. And I still just didn't grasp that. No one had ever talked to me about that. All I knew is that I was talented and I was ready to work. And so I didn't understand what was going to come my way, the obstacles. And then in that class, they had us to write what type we're in. I don't know. What are you talking about? So they started comparing me to Monique, Loretta Devine, women that I love, but I didn't understand it. Why? Because you're Black and you're plus size. What does that have to do with anything?
Right. Right.
Get it. I'm talented and I'm graduating from CalArts. What does being overweight and Black have to do with anything? So then I was told, we have this exit interview leaving CalArts. I was told that because of my look, that I would only play the Chitlin circuit. Chitlin circuit is Black theater. Some people will classify that, they will put Tyler Perry into that category. As well-renowned as he is, they would put his productions into that category, only playing Black circuit. That's what I was told. What the hell is that? I've never heard of that. So I wasn't fully prepared to enter into this world. And then I had worked on my dialect so much because I was told for so long that I was too urban and I needed to learn to neutralize that. I worked on it so much that I was told in auditions that I'm not urban enough.
Wow.
So, and I'm 27 now. And so this is all new to me. So I'm learning all this typecasting as I go. I had no idea. Had I known more about the industry and had they started this talk, this conversation, this class freshman year, I would have had more time to research, understand, learn, and prepare. but you're telling me this first semester of my last year. What?
Right.
Had no clue. So I would see the breakdowns and they would say age 18 to 25, overweight, sassy. Those were all the things that were used to describe my type. So starting out, I got a lot of roles: Black girl, sassy, attitude, the angry DMV worker, the sassy best friend. And I played those roles because I'm trying to get my foot in the door, but I still didn't understand what all that meant. I just know that I wanted to work.
Right.
I didn't care. I just want to work. But as I started getting older and I started realizing things and starting to understand things, I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get how Hollywood sees me now.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I feel like as actors, I mean, I grew up in the theater. I grew up loving this as a child, as you did. But I am from a lineage of actors, so I had support, and so my mom did know what to do with me. It was take me with her to every single show she ever did. But one of the things I heard all the time was people wanting to fight against this type. But here's something that I'm hearing from you that I didn't hear a lot, and that is you had one type, right? What I'm hearing is you had Black, overweight, sassy, right? That's it. Funny. Even if it's the DMV worker that is angry, she's still, sassy or got an attitude, to be funny and to play into that type, that stereotype. Whereas what I heard a lot from my counterparts, and the only Latina actress I knew was my mom. So most of everybody I knew, well, that's not true actually, because I was also involved in Tulsa. Anyway, most of the people that I was having these discussions with were white actors. And so I would hear they would get stuck in the type of comedic or dramatic, or, oh, I'm going to be the lawyer type, or I'm going to be the girl next door type, or I'm going to be the sultry vixen. I mean, as a Latin actress, everybody was immediately going to me as, oh, you're going to be the sultry vixen. That was always the one that I got pinned as. That was my option. But they all had all these other options, but that never occurred to me actually. But I'm hearing you say it now and I'm going, oh, that's interesting. Because all of us actors wanted to, well, I want to do comedy and drama. I want to do Shakespeare and contemporary. I want to do all of it. And so how frustrating to even be more confined.
Yep.
Do you think that our industry, and probably we have to talk about this differently, right? Because it's theater is so different from film, is so different from TV, is so different from commercial. Do you think our industries have made headway in breaking against type, or what do you think about that?
I think we've made some headway with that. There's been, I've had some auditions very recent where there was no ethnic type written on the breakdown. Just the personality traits of that character. And it was that way when I auditioned for the Fosters as well. It didn't have ethnicity on the breakdown. Both times I auditioned for the Fosters. And I like that. And that was 2013. Even with age, and also when I auditioned for a guest star spot on the Disney Channel, I was auditioning against teenagers.
You're one of those for Disney, yes. Mm-hmm.
Like real for life teenagers. and I was auditioning for a role. I think she was 16, 17, 18, somewhere. I think she was under 18. I won't tell how old I was at the time, but I damn for sure wasn't no teenager.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, there's even been times in theater where I auditioned for a musical and I can't sing. And this is urban theater, but I was cast in the role anyway because of my acting ability.
Yes.
Did away with the singing. 2 productions I was in like that.
Wow.
So yeah.
I do feel like I've seen more headway in theater. And I think we can get away with it a little bit more in theater. I don't know if it's because theater's been around, since the beginning of time, or if it's because we suspend belief more in theater and we expect more reality from film and television. I'm not sure. But I do feel I've had even like more examples of that, like casting against age, where I've played way younger or older. And not doing like old age makeup, just doing the role with, even the show we were in.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. Kirk did.
Yeah, she was older. My character was older. But we didn't age her up or anything. It was just the gravitas of her life and her situation. I just told the story. And in your character, not written at all, the way it was like totally cast based on the story of that character, the truth of her experience.
Yeah. And then my being Black added a different dynamic.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I love that Kirk did that. That was right there.
Yeah. He did it very consciously, which I think is so important, right? To be aware of, am I playing into a stereotype?
Right.
Because this was, and the show, so for those who don't know, Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Wills, written by Del Shores. It takes place in small town in Texas. And he deals with a lot of prejudices against a lot of different things because it's the Texas world that he grew up in and that he knows, and it exists. We all know that. We see it on the news. But typically it's an all-white family. And, he made the very conscious choice. And I remember we would sit and like read through a rehearsal and we would do a scene where that you were in and the fight between you and your husband. And I would just have these moments of like, oh, this has such a different connotation now. This is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom, she was furious when she saw the scene with the fight and the arguing. How dare he talk to you that way? I think your husband was racist. What? Okay. Hold on, Mom. I understand there's a different dynamic, with the family now because I am Black. So you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
But it was heavy on her. Like she was thrust into the world. She was like, oh no, you married a racist. Just take it back for a minute, Mom, and take that off of it. But she was pissed. She didn't like it.
Right. And I totally understand that and can see that and feel that for sure. But we're like, no, he's just a bad husband with anybody. It's fine.
Right. It wouldn't be any different. If I weren't Black, Mom, he's still an asshole. Right. He's still an asshole. If you say so.
Yes. Oh, and that show deals with like the scene where you like stand up to him like as a woman in the South and standing up for herself and not taking that anymore and saying I'm done. Yeah. Because so often in the culture in the South, we're taught to smile and everything's fine, and keep everything private and you just stick with it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was very powerful.
Yeah, yay for Kirk Larson for doing that.
Yay. Also, and you're touching on something because it's a part of the theater I know we've talked about a lot, because I think as we try to broaden and break against type, I feel like there's a couple things that need to be said in our world. Like we need to talk about issues.
Yeah.
We have to address them, we have to educate, we have to teach, we have to inspire. But I think this other part of this is also just telling stories of people's lives, that it's not about race, or it's not about gender conformity, or it's not about gender identity, sexuality, but that it's just, oh, this is a story about a person who's having
Right.
experience. And that, I think, was another example of Daddy's Dying, which it wasn't, the story is not actually about, that it's an interracial couple or anything. That's not the story at all. It's
No.
literally just about family and dysfunction and grief and fear and that. And that to me made it really powerful too. And I feel like that can say a lot when we start casting against type and just telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think that has a powerful impact as well.
Absolutely.
What
I agree.
What kinds of things excite you? What are shows that you're like, oh, I want to dig my teeth into that? What kinds of things do that?
I think I shared this with Kirk too. There's this play. Yeah, you were there when we were talking about it. Blood Moon.
Yes.
I
Dark.
that college way back in the 90s at El Camino. And I think I wasn't there in my skill level yet to really dig into that material, but I would love to dig into that material. Not necessarily in that role, maybe directing, I don't know. But I still love that play all those years later. I still think about it.
And what is it? Is it the message? Is it the story? Is it the challenge of it? What is it that draws you to it?
Story and the challenge of it. Because I did a monologue from that play and it was very challenging. This young girl, Maya, 20, from New York. I don't want to give too much of it away, but she was very close to her uncle. They had a really strong relationship. They were really close. And her uncle introduced her to his friend, his really good friend. And that friend raped her. And she ended up pregnant by that friend. I won't tell you, I won't spill the beans on what happened with the pregnancy, but it's so like, oh my gosh, 20 years old in New York, raped by your uncle's friend who's much older than you, and you get pregnant? How do you tap into that? Like, I wasn't there yet. I did, the best I could with where I was. But now I would love to tackle that material because I think I was in my first year at El Camino when I read that play, and I have not been able to get it off of my mind since. I would love to tackle that material.
That's one of the things, again, I love about this theater is you read something or you see something or you work on something and you're just like, oh, this makes me feel alive. I want to tell this story. It has a message. It resonates with me. Or like there's something about it, even though I'm not quite reaching it, that leaves it unsettled. So that's why we want to return back to it. I mean, it says a lot about the power that theater has on a person, on multiple people, on communities, because it affects us and it stays with us.
Yes.
There was a play my mom did called Death and the Maiden. It's also very dark. What is it with dark, horrible, sad, torturous plays that were like, I want to do that. But it's very hard. It's very challenging. It also deals with violence and torture and sexual, anyway. but I was so impacted by their performances and watching that play. It has stuck with me, and that is one of mine that I'm like, I have to do that. I have to play that role. Let me ask you this: as an actress, what can we do as theaters, as directors, to encourage diversity, to encourage, to bring people in from all the different communities?
I have to
Yeah, look,
send about to get started.
she
She's
feels
doing
very strongly
really,
about.
huh?
I said she feels very strongly about this conversation.
She's doing very well because she usually goes crazy. Like this is good for her.
Well, she does have things to say.
If you can repeat, I got distracted.
No worries, of course. Yeah, I'm curious what you think theaters and directors can do to increase diversity, to reach out to other communities and bring people together. What are the things? Is it certain types of shows? I heard that one. Oh, bless her heart.
She's almost done.
Oh, shit. I was saying earlier, we're a pet friendly show. So either we have dogs barking or cats jumping on the throne behind me. I love it.
All right, Sam. Yes. Well, I think we can have more diverse productions, playwrights at the theater. I don't like when things are posted on the website for auditions, it doesn't have like the ethnicity or whatever for the character, does it? I don't recall.
I think it might depend on the shows that we're doing, you know. And I think and sometimes, you know, I mean, so I'm kind of asking in theaters in general, our theater specifically, like we do encourage diversity and we do want to reach out. And so we will a lot of times say that or mention that. I think, you know, as we know, there are some shows where, like, for instance, Good People, part of that show is about an interracial couple. So it needs to be an interracial couple, you know, so it's important to state things like that when we don't have to. I think you're right, we don't. But you think that is important to not?
If it's not necessary.
Right.
Like for certain productions, you have to put that out there because of the story, you know. And I think we could probably go place our flyers in more communities, like the neighboring communities, Inglewood, like we were talking about, Culver City, and let them know that we're there, because a lot of people don't even know that we're there. Right. They say, "Oh, it's right by Randy's Donuts." Oh, I know where that is. They know exactly where Randy's Donuts. So if they knew, because I didn't know, I never heard of Kentwood, Westchester, but I never heard of it. So if it hadn't been for my friend, I don't think I've ever would have stumbled upon it, you know? And it's a nice little pocket right there. I'm glad that I stumbled upon it, and I'm glad to be there. And just continue to tell more diverse stories and have different playwrights, different eras. Yeah.
I love that. I think that is great. And just to kind of
encouraging for
yes.
all, yeah. Because I know that is posted on the website as well. I do recall seeing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great point that, you know, we have to reach out. Like, even if we have a great website and we have all the stuff on there, people don't know to go to the website. They're not going to ever see it. So yeah, I think reaching out, that's great. I think, and then diverse plays and playwrights. That's something that I'm hearing a lot. So I think that is.
I want to go set, like when we get the postcards done for the shows, go set a stack at Roscoe's, you know.
I'm going to be on that crew because I love going to Roscoe.
To get
Um,
the word out.
yeah, I know. I think that that's really great. Oh gosh, I had my one. Oh yes, my one last thing as we wrap up. If you could give advice to young actors, or actually any actor, but coming into the business, um, you know, kind of new, or maybe even those of us who've been in it for a long time, we just need to be reminded are here. But if you could kind of give advice, um, especially to maybe young actors of color or new actors of color who are going, how do I break against type?
Mm-hmm.
How do I deal with this business? What do I do? What kind of advice would you give to?
I always start with study the craft. Study the craft. I know there's a lot of Insta famous and going viral and getting recognized that way, but I appreciate the art of acting. And that's why I went to a conservatory. I didn't want to go. I did look into USC, but when they told me that I had to major in liberal arts, I'm like, no, liberal arts. I need to be fully engrossed into the world of acting and everything that surrounds it. That's what I want my world to be. I don't have time for math. I don't have time for science. I did all that at El Camino. Why the hell do I want to transfer it to a 4-year and do all? No. So I found out, I think my instructor told me about CalArts. So study the craft.
Yeah.
Be as well-rounded as you can. Read. Find your voice. Be true to that. And don't change that for anyone. Stand solid in who you are. If you can do that, nobody can shake that. That's my advice. Have a voice. Speak up. Create. Don't necessarily wait for opportunities. Like auditioning is cool, but had I known what the world was going to evolve into, so many decisions I would have made different decisions. So I felt like I was playing catch up when everything started changing to digital. I'm like, oh, I got to get on the good foot here because I'm still back to where it's like, no, my talent. No, they don't care about that no more. Yeah, a little bit, but she has more followers than you. You graduated from CalArts with the BFA, but she has 50,000 followers and you only have 6. So
We
find
are
your,
that.
yeah.
Yes, we are up against that. I really want to just reiterate, I love this advice that you gave. I also feel like I need to take that for myself. And I feel like as artists, we are always going to need to be reminded um, to study our craft, always. I love that because we never finish that. We have to always learn our skills. I love that. And I love what you said about finding our voice and creating. I think that's wonderful and absolutely true. And in this day and age, like you're talking about, where it's about followers, but the other thing is that we have such great platforms and it's easier now.
This.
So we can create.
Yeah. And now people want to hear your story, my story. They want to hear it now.
Yeah.
You know.
Amazing and wonderful advice. Thank you.
Thank
Yay.
you. Yay. This was fun.
Hey, thank you. You are amazing. You're an amazing human and amazing actress. Everybody go and follow Cherinda on all her social media. Where
Hey.
can they find you?
Let me see, girl. Let me tell you, I am not all up into that social media. So let me tell you, I have Instagram, Cherinda_K. I have Twitter that I never use. It's just sitting there because I don't know what to do with it. I don't have anything to tweet about. That's what is my Twitter? Girl, I think it's Cherinda_K. I'm not sure. I never use it.
We know we can find you on Insta. That
Yeah.
I know you post on Insta
Yeah.
and it's wonderful.
Yeah. I don't have Snapchat, TikTok. I don't have none of that for it. Instagram is enough.
That's right. We're too busy doing our craft.
That
Or is it we're too busy doing our craft?
yes, I don't have time for the extras. No.
Yay. Well, I hope that everyone will come out and see you in Vanya whenever we finally open. And then also keep an eye out for all the other fun online film, TV, and commercial things that you will be doing. So
Yay.
all the best energy to you.
Thank you, Sam. This was
Thank you. I love you so much.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. Oh, wait, you know what? Before we leave, I'm noticing that Del Rey Guy says, "Hey, boo."
Who?
Del Rey Guy. I'm assuming, I don't know who that is. I thought maybe you did. Well, hey, boo. I don't know who you are, but now I'm interested. I don't know who you were talking to, but hi. All right, we're gonna sign off now. But thanks everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye, girl.